Most people probably know the PC-98 from its graphic adventure games and the clips from said games that are floating around the internet. Actually, a series of Japanese home computers made by the Nippon Electric Company, or NEC as they're more commonly known. PC-9800 machines were in production from 1982 to 2000. Western PC manufacturers struggled for years with how to properly display all of the different characters needed for the Japanese language. In fact, the only Western company to really break through for a long time was Apple, and it wasn't until the 1990s when IBM-based PCs had improved enough on the graphics and CPU side to reliably display Japanese text accurately. After that, more well-known Western companies started to make headway in Japan. Even still, by that point, these domestic PCs were deeply etched into the marketplace. And yeah, you could spend a whole video talking about all this historical PC stuff. And others have, in much more detail than I ever could. The point of it all is the PC-98 was a very popular series of computers in Japan, and if you dig even a little bit into its library of games, you'll find that most of them are games. I really wanted to start the video off with this, but I had to bury the lead a bit in hopes that this video doesn't just get instantly demonetized by YouTube. But yeah, there was, and still is, quite the market for erotic visual novels in Japan, and many of them got their start on these domestic PCs. Again, others have delved deeper into this topic, so I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit hole. But not all the games on the PC-98 are straight up porn. There are some that are only, like a sleazy B-movie, like the one that's the topic of this video, a zombie apocalypse adventure game that takes cues from films such as Reanimator, Day of the Dead, and even a dash of The Terminator. So today, let's dive into the sleazy retro horror of Dead of the Brain. Dead of the Brain is, for the most part, a visual novel, but there are some action elements to its gameplay that ramp up the tension and make it more than just an interactive picture book. Sometimes you'll be attacked by zombies and a timer will appear on screen. You might have to search for a weapon, or take aim and shoot. Or if you don't have a weapon on you, you might have to just try and gouge a zombie's eyes out. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Dead of the Brain was developed by Fairy Tale and released for the PC-98, X68000, FM Towns, and MSX2 in 1992. It also later had a port to the PC Engine CD and was packaged with its sequel. This version has higher quality audio but inferior graphics compared to the PC releases. The PC Engine version actually just got a fan translation last year, so if you're into that platform you can check it out. However, even though that version has the second game included, there's no translation for it. In fact, as far as I could find, the second game doesn't have a translation on any platform, so bummer. Although I've heard the second game isn't as good, so maybe we're not missing much. As for the first game's translation, there are actually a couple floating around for the PC platforms, but I'll talk about that a bit later. Before we really get into Dead of the Brain, I want to give a special thanks to the Dungeon Dwellers who support this channel on Patreon and through YouTube memberships. They all get to watch videos early and get exclusive updates from me, so if you'd like to join them, stick around until the end of the video to find out how. In Dead of the Brain, you take the role of Cole, a 24-year-old disgruntled painter, a commercial painter, not the oil and canvas artistic kind. Not to disparage commercial painters or anything, but I'm sure the thing most people think of when they hear painter is an artist. But Cole, he ain't no artist. He's a blue-collar dude, and I actually like his personality and reactions to a lot of the story events. He's very matter-of-fact and prefers to just brute force his way through a lot of situations, which makes him an interesting main character for a visual novel. The game opens with him returning home in a foul mood after being forced to work overtime by his asshole boss. Cole's ready to just take a shower and chill with a cold one, but before he gets the chance, he gets a phone call from his friend, Dr. Cougar. It's pretty late at night, but the doc tells Cole to come over right away because Cole's got to see his new invention. Marty! Yeah, it's that kind of relationship. I didn't mention Back to the Future as one of the references in the beginning, but there's some pretty heavy Doc and Marty vibes going on with these two. Things go in a much darker direction for them as this story goes on, though. Dr. Cougar coerces Cole to come over by threatening to tell some guy named Terry about Cole and a woman named Sheila's relationship. Wait a minute. Shella? Okay, so this is a typo on the part of this translator. In Japanese, her name is Shida, and an updated translation that I was using from romhacking.net names her Sheila. The translation that you can find on romhacking.net was done by Crooker Wine, and it's actually funnier and gives the characters a lot more personality. Don't mind this hard-to-read font. I forgot to download the PC-98 font for the emulator before I started playing. This translation was also just released in October of last year. So why am I not using it? Well, when I got to a certain point about an hour into the game, this happened. No matter what I tried, I couldn't get it not to happen. And I was using the PC-98 emulator Neko Project 21W as the README file recommends, but still, it just kept doing this. So unfortunately, the game was pretty much unplayable. I had to go in the good old Internet Archive and find an older translation done by Retonimicon. It's a fine translation in its own right, I just kind of like the humor and the way some of the characters were written in the newer one. The newer translation is also more accurate to the original Japanese from what I could tell, but oh well. I've got links to where you can download both in the description below. Maybe you'll have better luck with the newer translation than I did. I've also included a link to a guide written by PC-98 bot to help you set up the emulator and get things going. Anyway, Cole agrees to head over to Dr. Cougar's house, and Dr. Cougar is waiting for Cole to arrive outside. Cole finds that a bit weird, but the doc says his neighbors are upset with him, and he didn't want Cole yelling and letting them know that he was home, which, I mean, what was Cole gonna do? Like, just stand in front of the door screaming? I mean, he probably would have just knocked, or used the buzzer on the side right behind you there. Anyway, after faffing about for a minute, Cole and Cougar enter the lab, and soon after, Cole hears a loud cry and is attacked by a wicked-looking cat. But don't worry, the doc diffuses the situation by shooting the cat. Cole then realizes that this cat was Dr. Cougar's. And here's another difference in the translations that I was kind of disappointed by. In the new translation, the cat's name is Kitty, and I just love the idea of an old scientist having a cat named Kitty. It's hilarious. But in the older translation, the cat is named Schrodinger. And yeah, haha, Schrodinger's cat, we all get it. But in the Japanese version, the cat's name is Kitty, so I don't know what's up with that change. By the way, I'm not going to do this comparison thing the whole time. I mean, I can't, because I couldn't get past the first hour in the newer one, but I just wanted to point out the cat's name because I thought it was a weird choice on the part of the older translation. So anyway, Cole is fine, not a scratch on him, which is more than can be said for the cat, but the doc reveals that the cat has been dead for a week. Cole doesn't believe this and tries to explain it away with logic, and the doc just isn't having any of that. Damn it, Cole. He reveals that the cat died from feline senile dementia a week ago, but this gave the doc the perfect opportunity to try out his newest invention, a reanimation serum. And now, Dr. Cougar has another opportunity to demonstrate the serum's effectiveness for Cole. So he shoots up Kitty with the serum, and after just a few seconds, she's perfectly fine. Cole thinks they're going to invent a new prize for the doc, and he may even get to meet the president. This game takes place in the US, by the way. But Dr. Cougar explains that there are some nasty side effects to his wonder drug, specifically violent behavior, insane physical strength, and, as we'll see later, an appetite for brains. Before the doc can go into any more details, a police officer shows up at the door, so he tells Cole to chuck the cat in the fridge and hide. Okay. Officer Jack here has arrived because there were noise complaints by the neighbors, so he searches the house and finds it a bit weird that this young dude is hanging out with this old scientist late at night, but he ain't gonna judge. And he's about to leave when he starts hearing a strange noise coming from the fridge. Cole and Dr. Cougar try to get him not to open it, but they can't really stop him. Also, Cougar explains to Cole on the side that the serum should only last for a few minutes, and Schrodinger, or Kitty, should already be dead again. But as Officer Jack opens the door, Kitty jumps out and slashes his throat. Kitty has died for a second, or actually a third time, and Cole says they need to get Jack to a hospital. It's too late. Schrodinger severed his carotid artery. Jack was dead before he hit the ground. A beautifully precise blow. Fucking hell, Doc. So Cole then suggests contacting the police and telling them what happened. Again, a perfectly level-headed and logical response, but Dr. Cougar shoots down that idea too. They'll say I'm crazy and you were high on drugs. Doc, I haven't even taken any drugs. Like, how are they gonna prove that? You're high out of your mind, Marty! Who the fuck is Marty? Dr. Cougar then gets a gleam in his eye and hypothesizes that maybe a human being injected with the serum won't have the same negative reactions as an animal, since they're bigger. Is basically the logic he's using here. Then he's just like, hey, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity to test out the serum on humans. Never done it before. We're fucked anyway. No time like the present. So the doc shoots up Officer Jack with the serum and tells Cole to stand by with the gun and to shoot him if he resurrects as some kind of homicidal maniac. A solid plan. As time ticks by, it doesn't seem like anything is going to happen. It only took the cat 13 seconds to revive. But then, 34 seconds later, Officer Jack comes back to life. And, of course, he's a zombie. Cole and Dr. Cougar run to the nearby cemetery, another brilliant idea from the doc. As they're running, the doc trips and his reanimation serum spills all over Stephen King's grave, and we finally get our title sequence. So Cole and the doc end up at Cole's apartment, and soon Sheila shows up. Before Cole lets her in, the doc says not to tell her anything about what transpired just a few moments ago. Sheila's quite shaken up. While walking home from work, she noticed broken windows and people shambling around town, their bodies rotting and their mouths covered in blood. And Cole just immediately spills the beans. Those guys you saw, they were zombies. Doc made a reanimation serum and gave it to his cat, and then the cat killed a cop, and we tried to revive the cop, and well, now... You little shit. So finally they're like, okay, time to call the police. But when Cole tries, the line is dead. And at that moment, another zombie bursts through the apartment window. Doc tries shooting, to no avail, so the trio run to the nearest police station, the 16th precinct, where Officer Jack was from. There's a light on the second floor, but when they enter the lobby, everyone is already dead. So Cole decides to go investigate on his own. So that's our story setup. More astute viewers will recognize many of these story beats from the 1985 film Reanimator, which is a great movie and you should definitely check it out if you like gory, tongue-in-cheek horror. But yeah, the off-his-rocker scientist reanimating the cat, then trying to reanimate a human, and a bunch of story beats that are going to come up later are ripped straight out of the film. But Dead of the Brain pulls from other influences and does enough differently as it goes along to not just be a straight-up ripoff. The story is really ridiculous and fun. Arriving at the police station gives us the first real taste of the gameplay, which takes a lot of cues from Hideo Kojima's Snatcher, which was released a few years earlier on the PC-88, the predecessor series to the PC-98. There are options to look, talk, get, move, use, and go, along with load and save buttons. As with many games of this type, you'll need to use the look and talk actions to fully exhaust all of the flavor text on any given screen. This can get a bit tedious, but once you get the hang of it, you won't really ever get stuck. Just click everywhere, using every option you can. Even talking to corpses can advance things in Dead of the Brain. You'll only ever be able to select actions that you can actually do on screen too, so that helps narrow down your choices and avoid confusion. Usually the get, move, and use options won't open up until you've fully explored the screen with look or talk. From reading a few articles and forum posts, one of the places I've seen that people get stuck at is right here in the police station. Cole goes off to the second floor to investigate on his own, and there are 5 rooms you can enter. You just have to make sure that you fully explore each of the rooms before returning to the room at the end of the hall, and then you'll have the option to go further into this room to investigate and move the story along. But if you haven't fully exhausted all options in the other rooms, you won't be able to proceed further. So just be methodical with your investigations, and you shouldn't run into any roadblocks. Investigation isn't the only thing you'll be doing in Dead of the Brain though. Again, much like Snatcher, there are shooting sections. A few times throughout the game, you'll be attacked by zombies. In most of these instances, a countdown timer will appear on screen, and you'll have to find a weapon in the environment, or select a weapon from your inventory, and then fire before the zombie can get to you. They're really simple encounters, and if you fail them, you can continue right from the beginning of the scene. You don't have to go back to a previous save or anything, so it's pretty forgiving. Once you go through it once or twice, you can pretty much figure out what you're supposed to do, though there is a segment near the end of the game that took me quite a few tries to figure out. But anyway, it's a simple little action system that from time to time breaks up the long bouts of dialogue and clicking around screens. Though I will say, clicking around screen isn't that bad thanks to Dead of the Brain's amazing pixel art. Even though a lot of the scenes are dark and grisly, the game still manages to imbue everything with color, and overall the artwork is really vibrant. Hands down, the PC-98 probably produced some of the best pixel art on any machine or console ever. And I don't even mind the huge UI elements that take up most of the screen, because it's stylishly designed, making each button look like a carving in a gravestone. And thanks to the reduced screen real estate for the main image, on modern displays, the game scales to widescreen quite nicely without too much distortion. And I'm sure purists will balk at that, but I thought it looked really good. Character designs are also excellent. Later on, you'll meet up with other survivors and form a bit of a resistance for a short time. They all have that late 80s, early 90s style that, in my opinion, just has so much more personality than a lot of anime character designs done today. There's more variety to the faces and more details. It's great. The music in Dead of the Brain is also killer. FM synth just sounds so good in most PC-98 games. There are some great atmospheric tracks, like that opening title theme from earlier. Then there are more amped up themes during action segments. There's also the creepy heartbeat sound that plays during investigations or more tense sequences. As I mentioned earlier, the audio quality is better on the PC Engine CD re-release, which, as the format suggests, uses full CD quality audio. But then you have to suffer a bit on the visual side of things. And I think the PC-98 original sound holds its own, so it's a no-brainer which one I'd rather play. I'm going to go further into the story, so if you want to play Dead of the Brain on your own, skip to this time to go to my final thoughts, or use the chapter select. If not, let's go hunt some zombies. As Cole investigates the second floor of the precinct, he discovers that the place is pretty much abandoned. But he does find a clue in the chief's office that points towards an evacuation point at Central Hotel. After investigating all of the rooms, Cole heads further into the armory room at the very end of the hallway, but there's nothing there either, until he turns around to leave and is attacked by a zombie. Since he doesn't have a weapon on him, Cole does the only thing he can do and tries to gouge the zombie's eyes out. This lets him get away, but the zombie is still after him. The shelves of the armory have been cleaned out, but Cole slips on some blood on the floor, and as the shambling living dead is about to descend on him, he glimpses a gun on the bottom shelf. So he grabs it and aims for the head. Cole heads back downstairs and finds Dr. Cougar and Sheila in the police records room, and he's real excited about telling them that shooting zombies in the head destroys them. And let me just back up here, because this is a detail that Doc and Cole can't quite figure out at first, how to actually stop the zombies, but they reference Dawn of the Dead, and that movie clearly shows that shooting zombies in the head stops them. So either they weren't paying attention whenever they watched the movie, or they're just really dumb. And I'm banking on the latter, because when they first enter the police station, Cole is worried about the dead bodies in the lobby becoming zombies, but Doc says it's okay because their heads have been destroyed. So fast forward a bit, and now they've just figured out that shooting them in the head stops them. Kinda weird, right? Oh yeah, Doc also found a katana in the evidence room of this podunk police station that, you know, probably belonged to the Japanese mafia. Yeah, you know how they like to just roll through random US towns.
Can you tell me how to get to the station? Go! Straight! And turn right! Go, go, go! Go your way! Believe yourself! Oh, all right, thank you. You are welcome!
And also, the Doc's seen a bunch of Kurosawa films, so it's cool. He's just gonna use it to fight zombies. And we'll see how that works out for him. Anyway, Cole also mentions finding the note about the evacuation point at the hotel, so after consulting a map, the three of them head to the Central Hotel. The code from the note opens the front door, and they decide to explore the other floors, but run into zombies. Then they find an abandoned floor and decide to explore around a bit. This brings them face to face with, whoa!
Oh my god!
So this handsome fellow is Detective Keel, one of the survivors who have holed up in this hotel. After Keel determines that Cole, Cougar, and Sheila aren't undead, he introduces them to the rest of the team. There's Ray, who's kind of a dick at first, but we'll find out why. He used to be part of a street gang called the Bloody Foxes. Nose, yeah, a military type, and Cole just can't seem to get enough of his muscles. Richard Griss is the chief of police, but most people call him Chief Ghoul. Okay. Detective Keel, we've met. Sally used to be a personal trainer, but now acts as the planner and organizer for the group of survivors. And then there's Kathy, just a waitress from town who got caught up in this whole mess. We're given a choice of whether or not to join them, but it's really not a choice. If you don't, then they tell you to think about it, and the story won't move forward until you join them. There are a few more of these non-choices throughout the game, and they don't really affect much. There are no multiple paths or multiple endings in Dead of the Brain. So anyway, after joining up, you get given a gun, a key card to the hotel rooms, and a grenade. Is that standard issue for the 16th precinct? As Cole heads back to his room, he's confronted by Nose, who tells him that one of the zombies on the second floor is Ray's girlfriend. Ray tried to kill her before, but couldn't, so he asked Nose to do it, but Nose couldn't do it either, because he's actually just a big buff baby, so now he asks Cole to take care of it. Again, you get a choice, but you pretty much have to do it. If you don't make it back, can I have your permission to make a move on Sheila? What the fuck, dude? And Cole just goes along with it. Yeah, sure, man, go for it. If Cole does make it back, though, Nose promises him a big dog from Golden Boy's Big Dogs. Okay. So Doc's fucking ready to go, and after that, Sally comes to the door with their first task of clearing out the zombies on the second floor. Just like the police station, we've got a hallway and a series of rooms to check out. And there's some bizarre shit going on that doesn't seem related to zombies. I don't even think I can show this. Cole and Dr. Cougar stumble upon Ray's girlfriend and put her out of her misery. Then Doc has some kind of existential crisis. He's been on a guilt trip about his reanimation serum causing the zombie apocalypse ever since they left for the police station, but now he's getting real melodramatic about it. Like Oppenheimer before me, I have become death.
Marty!
Cole decides to take his sweet-ass time rifling through a toolbox, and while he's busy dicking around, Doc gets attacked by a zombie who flees after Cole shoots at it, which he immediately finds weird. Cole wants to take Doc upstairs to get his wounds treated, but he's been bitten and knows it's already too late. Tell Ray I'm sorry about his girlfriend. She seemed nice. Oh yeah, she was a real charmer. Doc then tells Cole to put him out of his misery.
Marty!
All his experiments were failures. He was the best scientist I ever knew. How many did you know? After that, Cole goes to hunt down the zombie that attacked Doc, but as he enters one of the rooms, the zombie is waiting to ambush him. Again, strange behavior for the undead. It looks like certain doom for our hero, but then the zombie gets skewered in the back of the head, and we meet another survivor, Kane. Kane explains that he's a journalist who came to this town after his own town was overrun by zombies a month ago. Kane goes on about how all of this was international news, but Cole's never heard any of it, which is a plot point that never really goes anywhere, so whatever. Still, the zombies appearing elsewhere a month ago explains how there were already undead wandering the streets only a few minutes after Doc first used the serum on a human. Kane goes off to investigate on his own some more, and Cole returns to Sheila to break the bad news about Doc's death. She's quite upset and reveals that Doc had entrusted her with a key, but they don't know what it opens. After all this excitement, they decide to rest, and oh my god, Cole's face here, he really looks like he's been through some shit. The next morning, when Cole wakes up, Sheila is gone, and he finds a note from her that says she's taken his gun and gone to the store across the street to pick up supplies. That doesn't sound like a good idea. Cole gets called to the meeting room, and here we can learn more about each of the survivors. And Cole and Nose go off complimenting each other's bodies for a bit. Looks like they're both ready for that big dog, you know what I'm saying? Kathy also isn't around, and Sally says she's pretty upset and that Cole should go talk to her, but not to get too involved. So, naturally, the first thing our hero does here is sleep with her. Did that penny just fall out of your bra? Afterwards, Cole gets some post-nut clarity and remembers that, oh yeah, Sheila's been gone for a while, hasn't she? And then we're put into the point of view of Kane, who's out on the street in front of the store that Sheila said she'd be going to for supplies. Though he doesn't know that Sheila's in there. He enters and finds an Uzi and some ammo, because you can just buy guns like candy in America. And afterwards, Kane finds Sheila being assaulted by members of the Bloody Foxes street gang, so he kills them with the Uzi. Sheila's not too traumatized though, and thanks Kane for saving her. He tells her he wants to meet up with Cole in the parking garage of the hotel later, so Sheila heads back to relay the message. Before the meeting happens, Cole and Sheila head back to Dr. Cougar's house to figure out what's up with the key he left behind. After rummaging around, they find a safe in his study, which requires the key and a code to open it. They find the code on the back of a photo of the Doc and his deceased wife. Inside the safe, they discover another photo of the Doc. This one is of him at some kind of scientific conference. There's also a diary where the Doc writes about presenting the serum at the conference several months ago and being laughed off stage. However, someone took his discovery seriously because about a month before the current events of the story, someone broke into the Doc's lab and stole the serum. Checking out the photo again, Sheila and Cole notice that Detective Keel is there among the scientists, which is pretty weird. Cole heads to the parking garage to meet up with Kane, and Sheila heads back to their room to rest. Cole tells Kane about what they found at the Doc's house concerning Detective Keel, but Kane was already onto Keel's trail. And God, Cougar, Kane, Cole, Keel, they couldn't have used some other consonant sounds for these names? Anyway, Kane suspects that the zombie attack on Dr. Cougar was somehow set up. He believes that Keel has some kind of power over the zombies that allows him to control them. This would explain why the zombie who attacked the Doc ran away and then waited to ambush Cole afterwards. Who knows what kind of fucked up shit he's into. True. Cole and Kane return to the hotel, but everyone is gone, except for Cheap Ghoul, who says that he's already told everyone to go to the backup HQ at the Riverside Community Hospital. Turns out, a horde of zombies have broken into the lobby here at the hotel, and Ghoul tells Kane and Cole to deal with that while he uses the fire escape to get the fuck out of here. And Cole and Kane are just like, yes sir! Why don't we all escape? We're abandoning the hotel anyway. Well, this gives us the opportunity to shoot up some zombies, but there are too many of them. Then there's an explosion, so Kane and Cole run up the emergency stairs while being chased by the undead. There's nowhere to go, and the hotel is being rocked by explosions, so Kane says they need to jump into the nearby river. But Cole says the water isn't deep enough. But then Kane says not to worry about it because it's been raining a lot recently. What the fuck are you guys even talking about? Why even bother bringing up the fact that the river's shallow if you're just gonna explain it away with stupid moon logic? Just jump. Okay, that was pretty awesome actually. As Cole and Kane emerge from the river, they notice a helicopter overhead, which they think is a rescue chopper at first, but then it starts shooting at them. They hide behind some rubble, and Kane notices that the chopper is military. Yeah, what gave that away? So he goes off to investigate something on his own again and tells Cole that he'll meet up with him at the hospital later. Cole arrives at the hospital, which looks abandoned, and upon entering, he finds Ray and Sally dead. Why are they naked? Yeah, that was my first question. So Cole goes all Columbo here and deduces that Keel killed them, stripped their bodies, and positioned them to make it look like they shot each other in some kind of lover's quarrel. That fucker. Is Keel just a serial killer? Well, actually, that might explain that woman's body hanging upside down in the one room of the hotel, and all this fetish shit here.
Well, why do you have a bunch of, like, weird tools in a hidden compartment in your car?
It's fetish shit. I like to bind. I like to be bound.
But really, what the hell is the point of this? Like, if Keel's a serial killer, I get the torture bit in the hotel, but why go through all the trouble of trying to make this look like a crime scene? There are no police, and who gives a shit if a commercial painter stumbles across some dead bodies? Again, not disparaging commercial painters, but yeah, I don't know, this whole thing just doesn't make any sense. So Cole's stuck on the first floor because of the rubble blocking the stairs. Can't use the grenade to clear it, so fuck this place. I'm just gonna shoot. That's very American of you, Cole. So Cole just shoots the rubble away. That works. And he runs into Nose on the next floor. And they also stumble across Keel and Sheila. And why is she naked? Keel just readily admits to killing both Ray and Sally. So again, why even bother positioning their bodies? I don't know, man. I guess I'll just never be a mind hunter.
Look, when you slit a person's throat, you need to cut it from ear to ear in order to sever the windpipe and the jugular so that they bleed and suffocate at the same time. Otherwise, they'll just be in a great deal of pain.
Keel goes to shoot Cole, but Nose jumps in the way, and Cole takes the opportunity to pop Keel in the head. Splat. Nose is Swiss cheese and lays on the floor dying. I guess I've chucked my last steak. Glazed my last ham. Are you talking about masturbation? Mustered my last BLT. Cole wants to know Nose's real name before he dies, but he doesn't get a chance to say it because he spent too much of his dying breath talking about choking the chicken, shucking the corn, jerking the gherkin. I'm sorry, Nose. I was looking forward to eating that big dog, even though I didn't really like hot dogs. Oh, come on. Now look at the composition of this scene. Keel's got his head smeared across the wall, and Sheila's just down here with her tits out. My God. And he's still alive? Turns out Keel was injected with the reanimation serum while he was still living. Dr. Cougar had it all backwards. The real miracle of the drug he came up with was its ability to create immortality. Injecting an already dead body with the serum would just turn them into a mindless zombie, but injecting it into a dying person just before their death results in eternal life. Keel also reveals that Chief Ghoul is actually the mastermind, and Keel was being blackmailed by Ghoul, who had kidnapped Keel's family and used them for experiments with the serum. But this doesn't really redeem Keel in any way, because he's still a fucked up serial killer. Ghoul is currently at the Bayside Research Institute, and he was the one flying the helicopter and shooting at Cole and Kane earlier. Even though Keel is apparently immortal, he dies anyway. I guess since Cole shot him in the head, I don't know, but it's a good thing he stayed alive long enough to give us that exposition dump. Then Cole wakes up Sheila, she gets dressed, and the two of them head over to the Bayside Research Institute. They can't enter through the front gate, so they find a side entrance and a long hallway, where they stumble across a prison where some survivors are kept. And one of them is Terry, the dude who was only mentioned near the very beginning of the game, who supposedly had a crush on Sheila and would have been mad at Cole if he found out he and Sheila were a thing. Yeah, that throwaway bit that Dr. Cougar hung over Cole's head to get him to come over to the lab in the first place. That actually gets a payoff here, if you can really call it that. Terry's just there, they call out to him, he doesn't answer, and that's it. At the end of the hall, Cole and Sheila find a large room with a metal bed covered by glass. Inside is Kane. Cole, didn't expect to see you. Oh, you're pretty chill, considering the circumstances. Ghoul appears on the second floor and reveals that he has absolutely no motivation whatsoever. The point is suffering. I don't really know what I was expecting from all of this anyway, so okay. Ghoul demonstrates his latest development with the serum. He's turned it from a liquid into a gas, and he pumps it straight into the contraption Kane is trapped in, and Kane immediately decomposes and dies. Ghoul then releases the gas into the room and runs away. The only thing to do is shoot the machine in the back. No time to think, gotta shoot. Sheila and Cole enter some kind of control room, and again, while Cole's dicking around, one of his friends gets into trouble. Ghoul grabs Sheila and explains that he left notes around the city to lure survivors here so he could use them for his fucked up experiments. So then I guess Ghoul just tosses Sheila aside and goes for Cole. Ghoul also reveals that the director of this research facility experimented on him and turned him into whatever he is now. Things look pretty grim for our hero, but then Kathy shows up, and while Ghoul is distracted, Cole shoves a grenade in his mouth and pushes him out the window. Of course, he's not dead and is some kind of Terminator who shoots a laser out of his hand. Cole tries to fire his gun, but it's no use, and he takes a laser shot to the shoulder. Ghoul gets him by the throat and tries to deliver the killing blow, but Kathy jumps onto Ghoul's laser arm and tries to hold him back. She's also got an explosive from the hotel, but she spends too much time monologuing and gets shot. Cole gets a choice of whether to do something to Ghoul's left or right hand. I don't really know what's happening here. And it doesn't matter whether you choose left or right, the outcome is the same. So, I don't know, Cole slaps Ghoul on the wrist or something, and this distracts him enough to give Kathy a chance to jump on him and get a piggyback ride. And Ghoul is just so surprised by this. Kathy holds on with the explosive. She explodes, and the penny falls out of her bra again. It all comes full circle. So Cole carries Sheila out of the research facility, and Cole, I don't know, maybe the explosion concussed him or something. Sheila, we're gonna live like no one ever has. What year is it?
What year is this?
Let's live every year like it's our last. Do you like Japanese food? I know this great sushi place. Cole, I don't know if you remember, but there was a zombie apocalypse that just happened. The whole city is fucked beyond recognition, but yeah, the sushi place will still be open. So that's it. The zombies just disappear. And Cole and Sheila meet up with whoever the hell all these people are. But uh-oh, Ghoul is still alive. To be continued. It was continued too. The sequel just doesn't have an English translation. Like I said earlier, from what I've read, the second game isn't as good, and translators who worked on the first game have said in README files that they're not even going to bother translating the second one. So that's the end. But I don't know, it feels like we're missing something. Oh fuck, we forgot to rescue Terry.
Cole? Hello? You're not sleeping with Sheila, are you? Cole. Oh man.
Dude, this game's story is so stupid. I love it. It's such a hodgepodge of different influences, and it's like watching a goofy horror film. And I mean, it took its biggest influence from one of the best of them, Reanimator, so it makes sense. There are some story beats, however, that don't make any sense, but that's part of the charm. I was grinning from ear to ear for most of Dead of the Brain because it was just so dumb. But it was a blast. The gameplay is really simple and isn't a standout even among graphic adventure games on the PC-98, but the vibes and story are like nothing else you'll find. It's a unique game that's worth checking out if you like cheesy, gory, exploitative, B-movie horror schlock. Dead of the Brain really is Dead of the Brain. I'm sorry, I had to do it at some point. And that's the end of the video. If you liked it, hit the like button, leave a comment, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. More weird games to come. I have to give a special thanks to the Dungeon Dwellers who support this channel on Patreon and through YouTube memberships. If you'd like to join them, you can find a link to the Patreon in the description of this video, or you can hit the join button on the video page for a YouTube membership. Everyone gets to watch videos early and get little behind the scenes blurbs on video projects from me. If you donate $5 or more, you get your name read out loud at the end of videos like these Dungeon Architects, Benifer 94, Goats and Goblins, Half HP, High Food Court, Izzy Lexus, Meridian, Nekot the Brave, Stefano Urenia, and Tentabat, as well as these dungeon connoisseurs, Adon, Anjin01, Churm Slurm, Chiral Spiral, Crippler Jones, David Carr, Dazed Clockwork, Deeko, Glitterthroat, Indigo Happy, Irregular Rob, Gemma, Joshua Weber, Minced Meat, Mr. Independent, Nicholas Postar, Noel the Monkey, Old Dead Lemons, Please Keep Making Videos, Pretty Cody, Prince Goof, Rainbows 85, Rez, Ribbon Black, Samuel Pandiangan, Samurai 85X, Solar, True Axiom, Tuesday Twin, Warrior Song, Where Am I? Help, and Zach Diedrich. Thank you all for your support, and thank you for watching. My voice is still a little messed up from being sick a few weeks ago. I don't have a cough or sore throat or anything, I just can't get my voice back to normal. So I don't know, maybe this is just what I'm gonna sound like from now on. Until next time, Dead of the Brain, check it out. Dungeon Chill, out.
こういったガイドブックをよく見てしっかりやりなさいよ。
はいはい。
さてセットアップも終わったし、それではまず私のパソコンを使って Windows 98の基本操作を教えてあげましょう。
よろしくお願いいたします。
はい。